So I'm going to give you just a very brief example of how that simplicity adds up. And this is kind of a very simple little game design, sim war. We have 3 units in this game. There's a production unit that builds new units. There's an offensive unit that can move and attack. That's the only one that can move. And there's a defensive unit that just kind of sits there and can defend. So the rules here basically is each one has a cost. The defensive unit is cheaper than the offensive one. The defensive or offensive can always defeat the factory. And those two have a 50-50 chance. And so that's the complete rule set of the game right there. And now it's just a matter of playing the game. And this game actually, it's got one thing that we try to get in a lot of games, it's avoiding convergent strategies, which is to say that there's no optimum strategy for playing this game. In this game, it very much depends on what the opponent does as to what your optimal strategy is. So if we're imagining what red might do, we're playing black here. Red might build offensive units and come attack us, in which case our best defense would be to build defensive units because they're much cheaper. On the other hand, red might decide to go for production, in which case we're better off building offensive units and going and getting them before he's built any military units. Red could build defensive, in which case we'd want to build up production. So for any strategy that red takes, there is some optimum strategy that black can take that counters that strategy. This is kind of what we generally call paper, rock, scissors for obvious reasons. At the initial stages of a game like this, there's an interesting chaotic thing where basically the state of the system very quickly can run to, I can lose or win the game very rapidly, depending on whether I outguess my opponent or not. Otherwise, the game actually will start to stabilize over time. So there are kind of different dimensions to the gameplay here. Eventually, you end up with very elaborate kind of setups that are collapsing a lot of player decisions into a very simple structure. You're dealing with things like, do I go for a short-term gain by attacking, or do I go for long-term by doing production? Do I go for a high-risk strategy by being very offensive, or a low-risk strategy by kind of mixing my units? I have allocation decisions. Which factories, what will my factories build? I have priority decisions. What order in which I build these things. They're kind of networks that you might actually add to a game like this. How close do they have to be to support something or defend something? So in essence, what we've done with a very, very simple rule set is we've collapsed all this into a very interesting set of considerations that a player has to make a decision. And really, that's what games are about. Games are about giving a player a very rich decision